Hello and happy new year to everybody, whoever's listening at this moment in time and who will be joining us later on Creating the Conversation podcast. Guys, it has been a crazy few weeks, in fact. And my man Ivan is with me as well. My God bless him. God give him strength. Guys, I just want to say to all of you, happy new year to you. May you have many, many days that are going to come for immense blessing. Hopefully, all will be good under the circumstances situation. Today's conversation discussion, of course, is going to be about the festive season itself. We're going to talk about young people being online, the relationship of young people, online life, and how to stay safe. And of course, some words and reflection about what my man Ivan has been up to in these a number of weeks. Because it's been something very interesting that he's been up to. So, guys, if there are any comments, if there are any questions, if there's anything on your mind in this particular time, please do share. And we always appreciate that. And hopefully, God willing, we can also get you guys into the conversation, into the forums, and get these conversations going, because that's what it's about. Guys, as Me and You Education, our whole purpose is to bring people from different background, different culture, different religion, people with no faith. Doesn't matter who you are, even those who apparently come across as enemies and the opposition, right? Let's get together. Let's have a conversation. Let's have that chat, because guys, that's what makes a massive difference. And talking about them chats, my man, Ivan, how are you, my man? Happy New Year to you. I hope you had a brilliant time with your family, a good Christmas as well. And I hope everybody is well. Big up, man. How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Happy New Year to you as well, bro.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been good. Been a busy one. Yeah, it's definitely been a busy one. Different one this year. Like, different for most people. You know what I mean? But
how is it different?
Yeah.
What you been doing? What's been going on? Were you not spending time with the family?
Yeah and no. I worked this year, so I worked Christmas Day, Boxing Day, today, and I'm back in again tomorrow. So
You've been working all the
so
holidays.
it's been a mixture of work. Yeah. So I've been working like a 7-hour shift, then going home, doing the things with the family, and then trying to get some sleep then. So yeah, it's been a bit of a juggle, but we're still here. We're still going.
It must have been working. Come on. You know, what you've been doing. Tell me what you've been doing. What's your work? What you've been doing? I know there's some work that relates to some community work that you do. Tell me what's been going on. What type of work have you been up to?
Well, when COVID hit last year, you struggled for all of us. I applied to be a relief support worker in my hometown. So that's what I've been doing. A support worker in a sheltered accommodation complex for over 50s. And our oldest resident's 93. So yeah, it's been a mixture, and it's been quite good. You know what I mean? It's been different.
You sound very positive, Ivan, but looking at COVID and what's been going on over the festive season, and especially working with the elderly, how's it been for the elderly community around your end?
Yeah, I think it's the same as most places, confused. We went from tier 2 to a tier 4, do you know what I mean? That one day at Christmas, I think there's just still lots of mixed emotions out there about what's going on. And like with 3/4 of the country now in tier 4, which is more or less enough for lockdown, isn't it, really? There's not much difference between tier 4 and lockdown, to be honest. So if you just look at some of the reports coming in today from the newspapers about people last night, New Year's Eve, London, Manchester, down south in Brighton, Wales, people's trying to party still, do you know what I mean? Lots of fines given out last night. Some people are listening, some aren't now. It's got to that point now where it's gone on so long now, people are just sort of giving up now, I think, and just what's going to happen, do you know what I mean?
It is. I know there are a lot of people who are giving up in a way. They are breaking the rules and the regulations. But I know there's an incident that you told me about in Essex where some people had gone to a local church and they had desecrated the church itself. It's sad. Why would you do that? Do you understand? I get it. You're frustrated, you're angry, you whatever, but you that's what you don't want. That community hasn't done nothing to you.
No. That church is 500 years old as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's a proper historic part of that little happened. And it's been trashed. Do you know what I mean? Just for, I get the need to party, I really do, but at what expense? Do you know what I mean?
See, that's the sad thing. Sometimes that's the worry, really. When people get frustrated, when they get angry, when they whatever it is, might be just total lunacy or some stupidity. Do you understand? On the basis of certain individuals, but when they go out, this is the problem. Authorities sometimes we feel, what can the authorities do? Because the individuals are not ready to, abide by the rules, regulation, the restrictions. I get it. I mean, it's going on for a long time, but because this is shared experience, and I think this is something for the new year, and hopefully we got some light at the end of the tunnel with this whole thing about the pandemic. But it's still important that we stay strong, we stay together, we stay, positive to a certain extent. That, you know what, let's go forward. And look, but on the other side, I want to say something else. We've done it. Do you know what I mean? They've agreed, they made an agreement with Europe. So we officially signed off. Brexit. How's that been for you?
Happy Independence Day. Happy Independence Day.
Look what he said. Happy Independence Day. My brother, if someone knows the history of Europe, and especially the European Union, all right, as British, we have a massive part to play in all of that. 47 years ago, we are the ones who requested the Europeans to sit around the table and to make this damn union. That's a fact. And today we're coming out with that we want, it's our Independence Day. The thing is, look, I don't disagree with this. There were always problems with the European model, the European Union structure. We know that. All right, as they say, as like a super state, right? It becomes a super state. I know there were some issues or concerns with how the British want to relate with the European structure. We get that, but the truth of the matter is, one of the main reasons behind having a European Union and a union of that kind was to do what? To keep conflict at bay, to keep popularism, nationalism, this idea of us against them at bay. That was the whole reason behind it. But as you know, there's some only talk about finances and nothing else. But anyway, that's one side of the story, and I get it. We're out. Let's deal with it, and hopefully, Almighty, we pray that we are part and parcel of this particular nation, and we'll fight and we'll work for the well-being of the individuals of this particular nation. And talking about that, my man, Ivan, it's been a difficult number of months, and especially it's been a very difficult time around the festive season for young people, for school kids, for secondary school kids, for young people from colleges and universities. And this is something you and I have always talked about, discussed, and wanted to share with our audience as well. And I want you to shed some light on that, because I know this is something that has been worrying you for a while. So please, Ivan, go for it.
Well, as I said earlier, we're now in our third lockdown. There's no talks about some schools not going on the 4th. My daughter's school, where I am, she goes back on, I think it's the 11th. They've done a week's homeschooling before that, but we all honestly know that. Do I honestly believe my daughter's there and do the homeschooling properly? Probably not. Do you know what I mean? And I think if a lot of parents are honest, it's going to be the same all right. Because when you say, it's like us, when we're working from home, it doesn't feel like we're working, does it? Do you know what I mean? So when they're laid on their bed, it's not going to be like they want to be at school, is it? Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying that kids are lazy, but it's easy to do because of online space. And the more time you spend online, the greater the risk you'll find something that you don't really want to find. Do you know what I mean?
And the
I
thing
think
is, the
that's the
latest studies,
concern.
there are latest studies at the moment where they're talking about young people's involvement in particular, extremist activity. I've looked at, because I work in a particular setup, and we've looked at the number of individuals under 21s that have been influenced by a particular type of material online. And this is something that's been concerning, and something that I believe as parents, as guardians of young people need to be aware of. They need to know that when it comes down to electrical devices, when it comes down to devices that we connect to the great web, and a choice of a term for it. And but the thing is that it's exactly that. It is a web, and once you get hooked onto it or you get stuck in it, right, it is really difficult to come out of. And if you're using all different devices, especially young people, because most of young people's life, and especially and most of our lives now, because of COVID, it has become, it's online. We engage on social media, we engage in Facebook, we engage in WhatsApp, we engage on Instagram, or TikTok, or whatever you want to call it. You understand? We engage on them particular platforms, but there are vulnerabilities. There are things that people need to be aware of. You are not entirely in a secure space. It's not like meeting someone face to face in real life. It's not at all. In fact, there are so many things that you need to put into place. Parental guidance, make sure there are certain firewalls and etc. that are in place. And this is the worry, even for me as well, that I work in certain setups with a lot of young people as well. And one of the key things I always talk about is you need to understand that the online world, right, is not the same as per se that you are offline. Or if you imagine this, your doors are open, your windows are open in your house, and anyone, you've got signs around all around your house, come in, you're welcome. Now you don't know who's going to come in, you don't know who they are, you don't know what their background is. And the thing is, people can make certain type of profile. Sadly, they can make a particular type of profile, right? They might be a particular age, particular gender, but they may come across as someone who's much, much younger and of a completely different gender. That could happen, and that has happened many, many times. And sadly, in the online world, that's something that we need to be careful. We need to be aware of. It's highly, highly important. As me and you, education, this is one of the key things. I know, Ivan, you and I, when we walk into schools, when we deliver certain type of workshops, well, that's one of the key things that we scream and shout about, right? You need to be careful, right? The games that you play, the people that you engage with, you need to know to an extent who you are engaging with, who are your real friends per se. You know what I'm saying? So, Ivan, in your humble opinion, what do you feel can be done regarding maybe saving or safeguarding our young people online? Because you have to also keep in mind they're getting bored. They don't have the same type of interaction.
No, granted. Do you know what I mean? Without a doubt. The most simplest thing is check what they're doing. Keep an eye on what they're doing. The kids will tell you it's sin, but it's not. At the end of the day, it's safeguarding. Do you know what I mean? I think that was what was a bit disappointing about the prevent figures. That only, I think it was cheapest of parents or referred somebody. Do you know what I mean? So people still aren't aware of that service or if I think if parents are watching out there, just make sure you check your social media. Don't let them beat you down with the spy because safeguarding at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Hello, Ivan, you still there, mate?
Hello. Yes, hello, mate.
Yeah, you were just saying that safeguarding of young people are highly important, because a lot of young people are at home at the moment, and parents need to be aware of how your young people and what are your young people up to, right? I don't disagree. They have their space, they have their own private space, etc. They need their private space. You understand? I get all of that, but one must know what is going on. There are certain platforms, I know Facebook does this, I know about some aspects of Google does this, that they give access to the parent per se upon whatever avenue or whatever website, etc. your children are going on. All right, they will send you a notification on your emails. They will do that as well for you, and that's something I believe a lot of parents, a lot of guardians should do. It is our duty to safeguard. It's our duty to take care of and protect our children from this type of activity. Now, another person will say, "Look, I have a very liberal way of engagement with my family, my kids. That's fine. That's your business." But the thing is, you also have to understand is you don't want certain individuals, certain young people. There are reasons why there are age limitations, age restrictions, because certain type of material is not possible for them to cognitively process. That's the issue here. Because the elasticity of a child mind or a young people's mind, all right, once it's stretched to a certain limit, it's really difficult to snap back. It's really difficult to snap back. And this, in psychologists and people who work with, young people, children per se, on child psychology, they always say this, that the material that they're exposed to, the type of information that they're exposed to, will retain within their psyche. Let me share something with you. I've worked as a youth worker, Ivan, for a number of years, and one of the key things I have come across myself, and of course the statistics also show this, that 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, they are coming to their parents or guardians or youth workers or mentors or whatever, and one of the key things they talk about is, and this is genuine statements. Oh my God, I saw this, I saw that. Particular type of material, maybe sexual material, maybe abusive material, maybe something which has definitely left a very profound impact upon the child's psyche and internal self. And this is the thing, we want to retain, I always say this, we want to retain the innocence of our children as long as possible, so they are children for a longer period of time. I get it, they're going to get exposed to the world, but we have to have things in place. And it starts with us. It starts with us as parents, as guardians, as adults. We can easily say, let them fend for themselves. But you also have to understand there are certain internal cognitive aspects and elements which they have not fully developed as young people. It's important that we support and help them in this difficult time. That's my humble opinion. I don't know what your thoughts are, Ivan.
Yeah, I agree with you. We think like any own quite equal things, as well as disagree. Do you know what I mean? And I just think it's not just the youngsters. Do you know what I mean? It's not just the under 25, the under 21s, was it? It was like, I think the over 30s as well, I believe, on it as well, was quite a big high number. So it's not just the kids we're talking about, and it's not just far right either. Do you know what I mean? There's all kinds of different stuff out there at the minute. The conspiracy thing at the minute is quite a big thing still. Do you know what I mean? I've been following something in America at the minute. There's an explosion in Nashville. There's not really much details about it yet, but the FBI said one thing about it was that the guy responsible was into this 5G conspiracy, and he was out hunting lizard people and aliens. So this is just how far down the rabbit hole people get there, that possibly he did that because of a conspiracy theory. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just the far right. It's there's lots of dangers online at the minute. Do you know what I mean? Because everybody's set online. And it's like we said, wherever confusion rules, extremists will thrive.
And that's the worry, really, isn't it? Because online, there is always a sense of vulnerability. There is, right? We may say, okay, fine, I'm in the security of my home. I'm sitting in front of a nice fire. I've got a nice coffee in my hands, and etc. Or I'm safe in that particular environment. But you remember, data information, especially your personal information, people have access to. See, that's another thing. You may engage with certain people that you think are fine, but it's important to make sure, especially for younger people, younger sectors of our community, to be much more aware, or people who may not be that well aware of online engagements, right, on particular platforms. Is highly important. So guys, coming to the new year, coming to this new horizon, hopefully that you guys, and of course our life has become much more online. It's much more computer based, laptop based. tablet-based, phone-based lifestyles that we have. There's a lot of information that we share with the world, our comments, our views, our ideas, our fears, or our hopes. It's important that you are sharing with those people who won't take advantage of that. Now, how do you do that? There are certain things and certain measures that you can put into place, right? Which is highly, highly important to look into. Some of that aspects and elements we will share on the Facebook, on our Twitter, on our Facebook as well, for you to engage with, for you to keep yourself safe as well as your family. So, Ivan, going on from here, of course, we talked about young people being online, and of course, there are certain vulnerable adults that are also going online and etc. So, one of the things I want to also talk about, sitting on the same type of topic, is the relationship of young people with the online world and the ways to stay safe. Now, keeping in mind COVID, keeping in mind lockdown, the online space has become the social space. The online space is the place where originally people used to go and party, have a few drinks, have a bit of a laugh, right? Whatever it is, and come back home. That's not the same now, because under restrictions and limitations, okay, fine, there are certain people who are breaking some laws, right? And restrictions. But that's not that many in comparison to the reality, people who are abiding by the law. So I want to, from your perspective, you're a father yourself, right? You've got children at home. I want to know concerning their relationship with the online world, and how we as adults, not only the measuring, etc., but even on the basis of conversation, probably, and discussion, help our young people learn how to manage the online world. How would you do that? Now, for example, you're a father, right? You're a person who works with vulnerable parts and sectors of society and community. How would you advise them, right, to relate with the online world, Ivan?
I think first I'll tell them whatever they look at, or whatever story or whatever thing they're reading, always double check it, maybe triple check it. I think checking facts at this moment in time is quite important. I don't think it's important than checking facts at this minute in time, because there's so much misinformation. I know certain big platforms are cutting back, but it doesn't stop it. It's just silencing people with a difference of opinion at the end of the day, and that doesn't work. It just they read onto another platform somewhere else, so you're not stopping the problem. The ground again, like they have done with lots of people that on Facebook. Like I've said before, the platform isn't the way to do things to stop your kids seeing it, because the kids will get attracted to more sinister platforms. So I always try, but not to let kids. It doesn't work now. They're older. Do you know what I mean? A boy's 20, he kind of does what he wants. But a girl's 15, and it's hard to limit her, but she's quite good. She'll get to bed at 9:30, and she'll go to bed and turn everything off. So, but weekends she's on there all day long. Do you know what I mean? So, but she does get breaks. Because I just think the longer you're on there, because you know what it's like when you're scrolling through Facebook or something, you're bored at the end of the day. You're just looking for something, and then one thing will catch your eye, and then you down a rabbit hole and 3 more hours pass. Do you know what I mean? I think you have to be aware of little hooks and what clickbait. I think you need to learn about what clickbait is, or teach your kids about clickbait. Because
so tell me,
that's
from your
grabs
perspective,
you.
Ivan, from your perspective, a man who used to run many pages online, right? Who ran hundreds of pages of Facebook, who understood the online world, who worked for a particular organization for a number of years. You are the man behind that particular screen, right? Now, you just mentioned clickbait. So tell me how clickbait works. What is clickbait, and what is it that people need to be cautious of and aware of?
Well, for example, I think Britain First are a perfect example of that. Not that they were good in any way, but when they had their Facebook page, they got their page up to 2 million followers.
Wow.
Simply by clickbait. So they'll put up a story about a dead celebrity, which, and to be fair, their name first doesn't feel like anything wrong with it. Do you know what I mean? To the ordinary person, it could appeal to them if they don't look into it. So the name is one good thing I think they got. Then put celebrities up in dogs, pets. Then they start getting the likes. Then you put a couple of their posts up. Then they put something else up that's a bit soft, bit sick stuff. Slowly it drip feeds you into what they really want you to see. And they were good at that. Even my mum. My mum was just first posts because it was a dead celebrity or an injured dog or something. So anybody would fall for it. Even my mum did. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how many times I told her about it as well, but it's easy done. It's easy to fall for. And to be fair, that's the thing. Somebody like me. Yeah, to be fair, I wasn't looking for anybody to radicalise. So, I mean, I wasn't looking for people to radicalise. It was just conversations, do you know, that led to them following us. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't nothing they had or nothing sinister or me weeding out their vulnerabilities. It was just feeding what the fear they already had. And at the minute, there's probably a lot of fear out there. It's probably radicalisers' dream at the minute.
And it does, and I think that's the main worry, isn't it? You have people who have genuine grievances, genuine concerns. I know in my nature of my work with young people, one of the key things I look at is around how they share their, for example, breakups, or they've had some incident with their mom and dad. So what they do is they feel that they could share their thoughts and reflect. Just like at one time you had your personal diary. You could go to your diary, you can write your thoughts and your reflections and your pains and your fears and put it away, right? And unless if it's your naughty brother or sister who will go over and
that was yours.
And read it. Sorry?
Yeah. And now when you do it online, everybody sees it.
Exactly. And
when
that's the thing.
Too much personal too much personal information online is never a good thing.
It never is. But the thing is, what needs to be understood is that as young people, and this is one of the studies that were done on how young people relate to the online world, is very similar to how they relate to the offline world. Exactly the same, because for many of them, this is their normal. This is their norm. This is their norm. We're talking about young people who are under 18 or 19, right? For the last 10, 12, 13, 14 years that they have been engaging with these type of activities, all right? Or even under 25 now. And now their life, like unlike mine, unlike yours, Ivan, we are people from times where having a a Nokia, right? What was like, oh my God, this is an amazing technology, a brick, like a brick, amazing technology. Or even I said to some of the kids I go to, we used to have phone. They used to have a wire and used to be stuck to the wall. They were like, what? That existed. Because there's no concept of that. There's no concept. They don't understand. It's all Wi-Fi everywhere. Everything Wi-Fi. Do you understand? Everything's just magic. Oh my God, bloody hell. Wherever I go, I just need internet. I need internet. So these happen. So they're in a different world. Exactly. But the thing is a different world. But the thing is, as the world is changing, this is what's important, that as the world is changing, the perception of normality is changing, perception of society is changing, perception of who my friends and who my foes are, right? That's changing. And come on, this whole thing about likes and pokes and this and that. It's a in a way, to a certain extent, it's a new phenomena, and research is showing how societies are changing or evolving just because of the online structures. But like we said, there are essence of vulnerabilities offline, but the online are multiplied by many times. Now, of course, Ivan has just spoke about something around clickbait. And what is clickbait? Clickbait simply is sometimes certain organizations, certain people, what they will use, they will put up a story or a post which is normal, which is emotionally connecting. It might be someone who has, it might be about animal welfare, it could be about elderly welfare, it could be a good story, it might be a good story or a story of some concern. Now, as normal human beings, we tap into that, you click into that. By clicking into that, suddenly they'll be on your page, they will share certain type of material, etc., which is called clickbait. Now, this is highly important that people become much more vigilant and aware of this. This is not difficult, this is not easy thing to do. But the point that Ivan made earlier was around keeping in mind, double checking again what is fact and what is fiction. This is another concern and issue as well online. And guys, this is something that you and I have to become much more vigilant and aware of. Now, coming to this, and I just want to make this very, very clear. As an organization, we are about engaging with the youngsters as well as educating, trying to help and support adults to support the young people in particular setups. Of course, a lot of our work is related to extremist organizations that have a particular mission of radicalization, of grooming. So our duty is to educate people to make them much more aware of their surroundings, of their online presence, and of course, how they engage with the world. We're not saying cut yourself off from the main online world. We're not saying that. What we're saying is it needs to be managed. It needs to be managed. Ivan, I want you some of your thoughts, and hopefully you can share them some with our viewers as well, people who engage with us online through creating the conversation podcast. We have a number of things that are, of course, coming to the new year, but I want you to go back. You shared a beautiful story with me earlier today, and you said one of the examples. I want to bring that in because there has to be a positive aspects and element in discussion and conversation. You said today you were with a particular family, and tell me, and you went to see this elderly gentleman, and he's from a particular background. So tell me what happened, Ivan, so you can share them thoughts with our viewers.
Yeah, so where I work as a support worker is in a shared housing place. So there's residents. And I found out one of them was Portuguese. Never met him because the first day I was there, he's a bit like Lord Lucan. We passed each other. So Christmas Day when I was there, I made a point of speaking to my friend beforehand, who's also Portuguese, just to teach me quickly how to say hello, Merry Christmas in Portuguese, just because I thought that I couldn't be expecting or something. So when he finally come down, because they like to sleep in, bless him. So when he finally come down, I said it to him. Honestly, the shock on his face was just priceless because the grin on his face was unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? But then afterwards, to be fair, he probably spoke better English than I did, if I'm honest. He was fluent. Do you know what I mean? But it was just that. Just trying to make him feel included as well, do you know what I mean? Because, yeah, it was a good laugh, do you know what I mean? And to be fair, Christmas Day was different, not spending it with the kids to start with. But then when I was sitting there with these gentlemen in there, some of them couldn't see their family because of COVID, and some of them have got nobody whatsoever. So just sitting there opening their presents with them was a totally heartwarming experience, do you know what I mean? Something that I took away from that, I think, was that everybody needs somebody. There's without doubt. And to be fair, all I've done this holiday season really is just what we do all the time in education is just talk, have a conversation. I'm really proud with one of the residents. He's like 82 years old, done his time in the army, national service. Worked for the government, done lots of things, really knowledgeable. And I'll pally with him and we sit there over my coffee break. And he's just experienced so much in his life, do you know what I mean? And I'm just in awe, just sitting there listening to him, do you know what I mean? Some of the stories he's told me, and it's great, do you know what I mean?
No, I think it's
been a really good it's been brilliant, heartwarming, and a great experience. Something I'll forget in a hurry.
And I think that's also really powerful. Look at that small gesture from your part, right? To go away to learn even one phrase, right? How you doing? You okay? in Portuguese suddenly created this environment of warmth. You know, one of the key things that we look at in human interaction is this. You know that by before I tell you about that, let me share something with you. I think it's a very English thing, right? We have a tendency wherever we go, we take our culture, our language with us. A few years ago, it was me and my mates. We did like a six city tour, right? We went to Spain, we went to Morocco. We did a 6 city tour, and when we got to Malaga, right, and it's really funny. This we did in Malaga and in South Spain, and we went. It's expats. It's all British, right? Whatever you hear, all you hear is Mancunians. You can see Scousers. You can hear Londoners. You can hear Southerners or whatever you go. You understand? And all you see we stayed over in the hotels there, and etc. And it's all about who wants full English? You want a full English, mate? You know what I'm saying? That's what it was. Now all the culture, the football, the colours, everything was there. So it was very British. It's a very British English presence. Now I see this not only there, but because I know many other expats communities and etc. around the world, they do exactly the same thing. I think it's a very British thing. We have a tendency to hold on to our language and hold on to our culture, which is brilliant. That's our identity. But at the same time, we are also well known not to learn other people's cultures probably, or learn more about people's languages, right? Have this tendency to engage with the masses at large. We are well aware of who they are, but many times it's not more than that. And sometimes that's what all is needed to break down barriers. Look, myself, I'm from a particular culture, a particular background, particular ethnicity. I speak English, hopefully well. I speak, I'm a kid from this country. I'm just like what you just said, that gentleman, for probably better English, or at least more clear English that you would even think. That probably was born here, brought up here. But the thing is that clear understanding of the host community. Clear understanding of the host community, to know that the cultures that live here, different ethnic minorities that live here, are well aware of the host community's cultures. But it's also important that they are aware of the people that are here. It's essential, and especially now with all this Brexit stuff going on, right? You have people in this country who look different, who have different religion, different colors. Guess what? At home, they speak a different language. Yes, they do. Myself, I in my family, there are certain people who don't speak English. They don't speak Arabic. They don't speak Urdu. They speak a colloquial language from my part of Pakistan, where I'm from. Right? They speak that language. I have to know that language. If I don't, I can't interact with them. I can't talk to them. I can't share my views and ideas with them. That's the same when we engage with young people. One of our problems, as adults sometimes, is that we're not well aware of the normal subcultures, what's going on, the street languages, right, or online, vernacular, which is used, all right, which is very different to what we use in normal life in our language and conversation. Text nowadays, people prefer to text each other. Friends, families prefer to text each other, especially young people, than to have a face-to-face conversation, right? So that tells you a lot of how people's behaviors, interaction, engagements are changing over time. So what that means is that we also have to understand the impact of that on people's, own confidence, this lack of ability to have a real dialogue, to have a discussion with people, to be ready to, engage with debate, discussion, idea of critical thinking, idea of giving another person a space for discussion and conversation. These are real world issues, which are becoming much more profound and much more concerning now than probably 10, 15 years ago. All right. Now the whole online world has come. We are behind a particular screen. We're anonymous. We say everything and do everything and think we're going to get away with it. But if you do the same thing in the real world, the consequences are very, very different, obviously. So Ivan, my man, keeping that in mind, that we are in a different world. Our world has changed. The pandemic, all what's happened in 2020, all right, has shaken the foundation of the international society, not only national society, national community, but international. Ivan, I want you to share from your personal experience about, from your life, from your experience, all right, the importance of shared experience, the common ground, and how can we move forward from this pandemic, from these difficult times, hoping for good times. Ivan.
That's hard because you find that first. Do you know what I mean? And the only way to find a common ground is for people to sit around a table, stop being in bubbles, so to speak. It's like I've always said, everybody's got a blinkered point of view, whatever their viewpoint. Nobody's prepared to see outside that bubble. That's why there's too many people arguing about who's right or wrong. In a way, they're both right, but they'll never agree to that, you see, so they're always arguing. You need to get people to sit around the table, listen to each other, and then at some of the things people are saying, whatever and whoever it is, you'll find similarities, just like we do when we do our workshops, when we do our exercise about the bedroom exercise. What they're all different kids in that, they're all different students from different parts and all over the place. And at the end of that workshop, they've all got their hand up. The similarities are often overlooked because the differences are so big sometimes, or feel so big. But that's the only way to do it, is step out your comfort zone, admit that maybe your viewpoint is not totally right, and listen to somebody who's different to you. Because between you both, you'll come to an understanding sooner or later. But then it's not about the talk, it's about the listening. It's not that just listen to, yeah, shut up and answer him. You've got to really listen to understand and take it all in and imagine what it's like to the other shoe to be on that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the kind of listening and understanding you need to make a change, I think. But that needs to be done on a mass scale. I mean, and people aren't ready for that yet. You see that online still. But you've seen it ever since Brexit, when all them people voted Leave, they're labelled far right racists, and they're not. Most of them people, 95% of the people aren't. But that's the kind of world we live in. If your view is different to the other, I'll be friends. We can't talk to each other. You're one of them. Do you know what I mean? Everything is an us and them subject at the minute. Until we're prepared to be adults about things and stop being childish, sit around a table with each other and listen to each other. That's how you bring change. Or maybe not change, but that's how you find part of a solution for change. That's the foundation.
We are democratic structures. You know, there are limitations within these structures to a certain extent, but these limitations exist because we have to create societies based upon tolerance. Now, if I'm not ready to sit with a person who has a different opinion, different ideology, and etc., and have a conversation, our society as communities can't move forward. It is dialogue, it is conversation, and these are the positives of our society. These are the immense positivities of society, where people of different culture, different religion, different background, different economical, stages and positions and statuses can get together, can feel at least they have a voice. Okay, fine, we could talk about, we live in systems where there's a hierarchical structure, it dominates us, it pressures us, there are bankers who control everything and this and that. We have our grievances. But the thing is, we do also have opportunities. Luke is mentioning something online. He's one of our mates who tends to come on. God bless him for that, for sharing his thoughts and reflection. And he's making a bit of an argument on that, and it's a true argument. He goes, look, we're talking about, a lot of young people don't have a future. You're talking about hope, right? And usually when you look forward into the future, you look at, okay, I've got New Year resolutions. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change myself. I'm going to better myself, and etc. If the basic requirements and needs are not being fulfilled, right? A young person feels that they don't have the same opportunity that his elders or his his family members, older family members have had. Now, this door closing down on Europe, these particular restrictions being put into place, limitations, the impact on education. There's a lot of young people who are not in a good place, right? So, Ivan, what would you say about that? Where for a young individual who sees 1 minute, I'm not even on the property market. I've not made any money at the moment in time. I can't really see, the hope and the light at the tunnel that these oldies are talking about. How do we talk to them? How do we engage with them who are in that state of mind?
I think at the minute, the youngsters are probably more resilient than the adults. We've got if you think about the adults for a minute, the people have worked all their lives to build a business up. In the last year, they could have lost everything. Probably lost the house because they put the house for their business. They're the people I feel sorry for at the minute. Do you know what I mean? All these people that worked all their life to leave their kids something, and they potentially had their business like live in a seaside town, and I see it here all the time. Shops going under, shops. A lot of these shops aren't going to open up again. Do you know what I mean? And that's people's livelihoods. That's putting food on their table. Where are these jobs going to magically come from again? I live in a seaside town, mainly seasonal jobs. We're not going to get enough jobs in our town to give all the people their jobs back who have lost them. Do you know what I mean? We're like 370,000 people on the dole now. That's going to breed more divisions, sadly. Do you know what I mean? Because then people have now got no hope either. So it's not just about the youngsters having hope, but everybody needs hope. And I don't know, and that's a hard thing to see where that hope is coming from at the minute, because we've already 2021 in the same condition we did 2020, Tier 4 lockdown. And it's going to be like this for at least the next 3 months.
Yeah.
So what hope can we give them? Do you know what I mean? I'm probably the most positive person. Do you know what I mean? I'm the most positive people, but the next 3 months is going to be bleak for a lot more people. Do you know what I mean? I think everybody's suffering now, really bad. Everybody's hurting. Do you know what I mean? And how much longer how much will take it for? Do you know what I mean? People get desperate when you're frustrated and angry. Do you know what I mean? I'm not predicting nothing, but frustration and anger turns to something sooner or later. Do you know what I mean? People will only take so much. Do you know what I mean? They've worked their life for everything. Do you know what I mean? Just washed away. It's got to be heartbreaking. Do you know what I mean?
No, but at the same time, look, Ivan, you work very closely with the elderly community at the moment. You give a lot of support and help to them. Like you said, you turned up at, a lot of individuals who are living alone or maybe living in couples, etc. But they're our elderly community. Now, the elderly community has always been one of our strongest communities. All right, they were the war generation. There were people who went through hardship and difficulty. They even from my forefathers, my grandfather came to this country. There are from India, Pakistan area, but there are friends of mine who came from the West Indies and etc. to help and support to rebuild this particular country at a particular time. When we talk about hardship, let me say this: when we talk about hardship, we can talk about rations. Right, we're talking about not having jobs. We're talking about not knowing where your food's going to come on the table. These are genuine stories of a lot of my colleagues who are white British. So I'm talking about white British communities, white British families. They would say to me, we have, because of Black Lives Matter discussion, and one of the areas of discussion came up was privilege. The word privilege came out. They go, "What a minute? What the hell are you talking about? Privilege? I have worked." There's too much sound. I have worked for my life. I have put my time in. What I've got today. All right, is my effort. I had nothing. Do you understand? I started from nothing. So for me, the way I look at the contemporary, or look at the day today, now here, is I reflect over the generations before us as well. It's not that they had it all easy, that everything was given them on a platter. It wasn't like that. Okay, fine. We can talk about the baby boomers. We can talk about some of the positives that they have and financial and etc. But do you remember the stresses and strains of life have changed, right? Because our work has changed, our formats have changed. We're not working in mines anymore, right? But there's a minefield of stuff that we have to deal with psychologically, mentally, because of the type of work that we're engaging. The work has changed. It's not much physical, it's much more mental. But that doesn't mean the stress has the stress has suddenly reduced. In fact, the stress has increased. The strain has increased. And this is highly important. This is why I want to bring this conversation to forward, because I want young people to realize there is support, there is help, right? And by reflecting over the situation, one thing is how I make my pathway or my journey in life. But many times it's not about you doing it on your own. It's about support. It's about help. It's about going to people, working with people like you do, Ivan, with the elderly community, with those communities which are really vulnerable, really on the outskirts sometimes, or underclass, as you would say. When you go and engage with them, when you speak with them, when you support them, you think, where the hell are you getting resilience from? Where the hell are you getting the strength from? And you realize the amazing thing about this human being species is the more we are suppressed, weirdly, the more higher we jump. But it's about knowing that the strength is within you. Trust me, the strength is within you. Our studies show this. Our, psychoanalytic work that has been done shows this. This shows about, human behavior, human interaction. It shows this, that through trial and tribulation, human beings become much more resilient. So for me, it's highly important that in schools, in youth centers, in mentoring facilities, even our platforms, we talk about this. Hey, it's in you. You have the strength. And if you feel you don't, we can support, help you to build. And there's some amazing work just generally going on, my man. So see, that's my perspective. I have to see, the good side. I have to find the positive side of life. It's sometimes hard to see. It is sometimes difficult to see. But in life, you can't, if a person is always pessimistic, it's all bad, it's all bad, it's all bad, it's really difficult to develop on that. But one has to find some sort of positivity. And this is why sometimes going out, we talked about the festive season, we talk about Christmas. One of the greatest, messages within Christmas is about helping those that are less, who are much more vulnerable, all right, who do not have the same as you and I do. And by doing that, you appreciate what you and I have. That's my one token worth of, or one pound worth of whatever request that I'm putting forward. So Ivan, my man, we got 2021 coming up, right? And there's a lot of work that needs to be done in per se within our own sector of work around extremism, around radicalization, grooming, and things of that kind. But it's highly important to understand, in my humble opinion, there must be something positive, or there must be something good. I'm going to ask you, Ivan, my man, to give something which you feel, from your experience, from your background, which keeps you motivated, which keeps you driven in working and the type of work that you do. Please share with our listeners.
Oh, it's a hard one. I don't know, it's just my passion. Just to help others. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, it's what gets me up in the morning. I mean, I'm trying to make a difference, or trying to make a change. And probably some of that could be guilt from my past, but I don't really think it is. I just think now I'm a different person and I want to do good. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's just that it's like when we go to schools and that, it's because we're giving them kids a chance to say what they really want to say. They're not able to say it. I think empowering kids like that, to allow them to have us answer them instead of searching online for the answers is priceless. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just that helping somebody who's less fortunate, empowering them, it makes me feel good. It's like my new purpose, my new sense of belonging is just something like, that's why I like the support work, I think, because I'm helping people. Do you know what I mean? For me, it's all about that. I think It's kind of sounds like a shrink's appointment now. I suppose looking back on it, I couldn't help my dad in his time of need. And because I can't replace that moment, is why I do what I do now. Maybe that could be that's probably a strong driver, I think. A bit of a somber end to that was, but yeah, I think if I'm honest, that's it.
And I don't disagree with you.
Look.
I think helping those that are much more vulnerable, all right, less fortunate, or people that, like you said, if there's things I haven't done in my life, right, with maybe my father or maybe with other individuals within society and community, by doing that now, right, you feel on a personal level that you are repaying back, you're giving something back, you are compensating, if I may say, for your past wrongs and wrongdoings that you have done. There is that, as human beings, we always do this. We always try to do good upon others. So ultimately, good hopefully will come towards us, or the things that we have not done right in our past. And this is a way to compensate for that. And that's given. That's very positive, and that's hugely important. I want to share a saying before we leave in a few minutes. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. This is a great poet. He's a Persian poet. He's a Persian philosopher, scholar, theologian, an individual who has done extensive work on human behavior, interaction, etc. Spiritualist, right? Rumi is from, coincidentally, his grave is in Turkey, a place called Konya, and he's one of the most famous. He's known as a poet within the Western world because that's how he became well known within America, Britain, and Europe. Per se, his works have been translated in many languages. And he's a wise man, and he's saying something very interesting. That when I was naive, when I was young, when I, did not have a fully formulated or structured life or structure or understanding of life, I thought I was clever, and I wanted to change everybody else. I wanted to change my neighbors, my friends, my family, everybody. All right, things around me. It's all about the outside. Everyone's wrong, I'm right. Everyone's wrong, I'm right. He goes, but now, with the churn of life, I've got to a place, I'm much more mature, I've become much more wiser, and I've started to realize the truth is the problem lies here, or in reality, the only person I can change is myself. And this is a very highly important, essential lesson. And I think wisdom is everyone's, right. Any type of knowledge, information, wisdom is everyone's right. This wisdom that has been presented in these particular words, I think, is hugely important. As a society, as a community, we need to become much more self-reflective. We need to come back in, right? Who am I? What am I? And what Ivan has said, I believe for me, is very strong. It relates to this very clearly. Where Ivan has started his journey, where he was, what happened, why it had happened. Because you remember, there's a whole side to Ivan which is before EDL, right? Which hopefully we will get an opportunity to listen to, and I will request from him hopefully in the future to talk and discuss about that as well. But knowing and relating to this, when you are young, when you are naive, when you think everyone else is the issue, or I need to change the world. But guys, guess what? The more we are maturing as a society and as a community, and that's what we need to do. That's exactly what we need to do. Mature as a society, as a community, and become much more wise, and start realizing we need to change ourselves. Ivan, are there any words or statement that you want to share before we depart today?
No, I just hope everybody's had a good Christmas and New Year, and hopefully, fingers crossed, things will change.
They will. And I think that having that hope is highly important. We are people of hope, right? And we live in the state of hope. Guys, we've had a very good discussion, conversation online as well. We've had one of our listeners, Mr. Ahmed Patel. Thank you very much. Luke NJ has also shared his views and ideas. Salam, my brother. God bless you as well. And guys, I just want to say this much: your engagement, your interaction with us is always, always, always appreciated. Do share your views and ideas. There are certain aspects and elements that we talk and discuss about, which we are ourselves even formulating. Right? There are certain aspects and elements in our society. Our society is moving on and changing. Of course, the way we interact, engage is also changing. So all I'm saying is, guys, we need to chill out. Let's start finding solutions to our society, our community, for our young people, for our future, not alone, but together. Peace out. God bless. Look after yourselves. See you around. See you next time. Goodbye from Creating the
Bye.
Conversation